Hello, we are live. Welcome, gentles all, to Bardic Inspiration. This is Dungeons and Dragons in Shakespearean Style. I am Adam, your dungeon master, and with me tonight are the Magical Cane Band. We had a hell of a session last we left off, featuring a fight with an actual dragon. Our first one while playing Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not sure we've had a dungeon yet either, so, better late than never, I guess. Welcome to all of you who are joining us live, as well as those who are catching up with us on our YouTube channel. If you haven't yet already, you can follow us there or on Twitter and TikTok at Bardic_inspo for all of our antics. We are going to go ahead and dive right in. I don't think I have any other introductory business or announcements to make. So, I'm going to turn it over to our cast in just a moment. We're going to set a timer for 2 minutes. I'm going to let them recap the most recent episode. But in the lead up to tonight's episode, the Magical Cane Band have been a traveling group of minstrels, moving their way throughout the nation of Eston, around Lake Lewin from Horst, and now to the swampy town of Gabmouth, where they have spent the last handful of sessions and weeks in real time, game time, I should say. Getting up to no good and some good with the Four Winds, a secret group of assassins and brigands and corrupt business folk, as well as some strange business below ground, and of course, as always, some interesting conversations with their friend Mother Sawyer, the witch in the swamp who has since absconded with her entire house in tow after some skullduggery of unknown origin. So, Cane Band, I'm going to give you 2 minutes. I'll do my best to give you a warning when you're getting close to time. But 2 minutes on the clock. Give us a recap starting now.
It's Alora's birthday.
What?
It's Alora's birthday. We're at the swamp. As it was Alora's birthday, Budge and Broccoli are preparing a bush cake, as it is custom, even though they're having to improvise with some of the ingredients because the trees that usually make the bush cake are unavailable. One of those ingredients we were looking for was honey.
And it was a simple trip. We just went and we found some bees whilst we were headed to the Moonwood, where that's the ultimate goal at the moment, is to go and reach the rest of the Ruatrues up at the Moonwood, but it's quite a trek. And yeah, we went and get some honey. There were around some swamp lilies. There were some bees. Rain and Broccoli did a performance for the bees to try and fool them while Budge smoked them out to try and get some honey. And as Rain was perched atop Broccoli, in trying in union both of them to form the queen bee, Hergor, the black dragon we bargained with weeks past, showed his head and terrified us.
Well, terrified us. But then Broccoli did a rap, and Rain and Broccoli began having conversation. Everybody sort of gathered there. We're in the middle of a conversation, and then Budge shot the dragon with an arrow.
Oh, I mean, there was more that happened. Alora started talking to it. It seemed like it was going well.
10 seconds.
It seemed like the dragon might know where we live.
So we killed it.
The dragon.
And now we're chopping it up.
Shot it.
We're chopping it up as best we can.
With the
to get
dragon.
all the good bits.
Yep.
Time.
Chip, chop, chop.
Okay. I was before this started, we were like, oh yeah, these, you remember, like 2 things happened. A minute 50 into the recap, we still haven't said you killed the dragon. You killed a dragon. You slew Hergor, the black dragon of the swamps outside of Gabmouth.
You say wait, it was Budge.
I mean, look, Budge.
I mean, you say it was Budge. It was an arrow Budge was gifted.
Look, coupled with some assassin and ranger business and a crazy crit with an arrow of dragon slaying, Budge nearly felled Hergor in one shot, and then next go round got to finish the job with a special opportunity attack thanks to Hern the Huntress. So yeah, we left off with you just arms deep in dragon viscera, pulling out various organs like hearts, gizzards, the fundamentum, which is responsible for creating that iconic dragon breath, which is not in fact really a breath. It's like a mixture of the air and liquid itself. You were just discussing your next steps. I believe Broccoli for sure is off looking for swamp cake ingredients. I wasn't sure if somebody joined him. We also should mention that 2 sessions ago, Broccoli decided to embrace the path of the wolf and has made this intention known to everyone, something that Rain seemed excited about, and that they have been having some chats about as well. So,
Pack.
we will pick up Alora and Budge. You made a sequence of rolls last week and did very well. So I will say that in order to avoid having to sort of rehash some different rolls for the scales, I'll say that if you're willing to just put in time, you can harvest quite a bit of hide. And with the 2 of your expertises combined, you will be able to get pretty much the maximum amount of usable dragon scales and hide that will be able to be taken off of this creature. What you do with it, of course, is the next set of questions that you have and how you manage it. So let us go ahead then and first have our camera, so to speak, zoom in on the scene of the crime, where Hergor lies splayed and vivisected. Alora and Budge, I presume, are quite covered in blood and gore. You've just finished singing Happy Birthday to Alora. Which was what happened as soon as Hergor died. I forgot about that. It was so dark. I love it. So, Caneban, what are you doing? The floor is yours.
Well, Budge, dost thou believe our task to be done? Are we?
Well, we need to dry all of this stuff before we put it into the bag of holding, just so that it don't rot and so it keeps properly, so that we can actually make something of it. Unless we want to just chip the scales off, which would take the rest of the day. But I mean,
I'm at thy disposal. We have means to carry things if we need to take them away from here.
Right. Well, maybe we'll put it all in the bag, and in the evenings I'll take it all out to continue drying by a fire or something.
Would it?
I can do an overnight thing.
Would it assist thee for it to dry if it were able to be carried without being in the bag? Exposure to air?
I mean, yeah, you need to have like smoke underneath. I mean, yes, I think it would just be better. I've never smoked a dragon.
Myself neither, my friend. But I do have at my disposal a large surface area that will hover near me if I summon it, and we can put the dragon pieces we need on it, and it will just where I walk, it will follow me. Need it?
I think the former. Oh, sorry.
Oh, just a disc that does float, Alora?
Indeed.
Oh, what a thing.
Very useful for carrying things.
How big is the disc? Is it big enough to have a party of dance on it?
It can in fact hold up to 500 pounds, Rain. So I'm sure if thou wishes to dance upon the floating disc, I can arrange thus.
Can one see the disc?
It is, however, probably only fit for one person as it is.
Oh.
Is it an invisible disc, or you can see the disc?
Nay, it's a plane of force. Thou canst see it, I believe.
Rain, we must.
This might be something you have some control over, Alora, but I think as written, it maybe is invisible. Usually things of force are, or there may be just like a faint shimmer in the air kind of situation.
Oh. But it's only 3 feet in diameter, Rain, so thou wouldst have a dance party to thyself upon the disc.
Me and Ben and I are on the same page. We are already thinking how to bring this into our performances.
Well, thou art most welcome, my friend. Can be arranged.
So excited for this.
Right.
Are you glad that this dragon has no family or friends or any other of its species to come back and seek revenge on you?
Yes.
I did but ask. All right, Finn, let us talk.
Also, but one thing has occurred to me as we've been working here thus. As a result of thy swift actions here, not too far away from here is now a currently unguarded dragon's horde. I know we're heading to thy family, but mayhap we should take a more circuitous route.
Dragon's horde, dragon's
There's
horde.
no rush, I believe.
Dragon's horde, dragon's horde.
There's naught but us who know that Hergor is dead, so I think others would be reluctant to enter his lair so far.
I think could be a good idea. And I've been there twice now, so we should be able to find it easy.
Finn,
And I can easily send in the boat to check it is still unoccupied when we arrive.
you want to go find broccoli?
Fine. That is.
Everyone ready? Here it is. The best that I can come up with, everyone. Oh, happy birthday.
To you.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday to you. Happy birthday,
Dear
Aurora.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Happy birthday
to
to
you.
you.
Here, blow out the candles. It just sticks on fire. It just sticks on fire.
I'll just,
Oh,
friends, I realized not that thou knew it was my birthday. Let's see. But Broccoli, didst thou find cake bark here in the swamp? I have seen naught.
I've made a swamp cake. I have had to cobble together some less than ideal ingredients, but I've worked as hard as I could to make this as tasty a dedication to thee as is possible in the circumstances.
And no doubt with excellent result, my friend. Thou art most
Yes.
skilled in the culinary art.
Yes. All right, grab thy dagger if thou hast one. Dost thou have a dagger? cut it, and if thou touches the bottom, thou shalt be forever cursed.
Aye, 'tis no joke.
Yes, don't touch the bottom, especially on swamp cake. If thou touches it, oh.
Oh, my cousin Iffy, he touched the bottom on his 25th summer, and he lost all his hair in his 26th.
And I shall cut this cake with most care and precision, my friend.
That is all that we ask of thee, Alora.
Thank you, friend.
and you get the first slice.
Very excellent.
Yes.
Tell us, please, about the swamp cake, Broccoli. What have you put together to create this?
The mud pile.
Look, I found some snake skins. I boiled some swamp water. There was some sort of rodent. I only used the organs of the rodent because you never use rat meat in a swamp cake. That's not done. That's more of a wedding situation. So I only used the pancreas, the rat pancreas, and the lungs, because those little lungs are full of vivacious life. Have you ever heard a rat scream? That takes a lungful. Yeah, they pack a punch, and they pack a flavor punch. I think you'll find it's woody with a hint of despair. So yeah, and also I put in some herbs that I found are like just your standard swamp herbs, nothing out of the ordinary. You could probably list the top 3 swamp herbs that I've used that run of the mill. They're run of the mill. And I also I found some sap. Just a couple of drops of sap. The good kind, not the poisonous kind, I think. Fingers crossed. And they're the core ingredients, and then I mixed it with love.
That's funny.
I didn't feel like we really succeeded in our honey mission in a way that entitled me to use any of the honey. You know, so I passed on the honey. Because Alora is sweet enough, as they say, in the business. So here, please enjoy the swamp cake. And,
Thank you, Broccoli.
and good health to you.
And to thee, my friend.
Yes.
And I'll give everyone a bit of cake.
Oh, but if anyone gets the piece with the rat lungs in it, give it to Alora. That's the birthday surprise. That's, you know, the birthday person gets the rat lung piece. That goes without saying, naturally.
Naturally.
Finn, do they have anything to say?
Broccoli, thou has prepared a most excellent cake. Alora, I hope this has been a most momentous birthday. But what else can one say? One has killed a dragon on one's birthday.
Dragon deaths are not easily forgotten, my friend. It is one of the most memorable birthdays of my life. And I have had many, as we know.
Well, they are an endangered creature.
We don't
Huge,
know that.
Beautiful and majestic, and hardly ever seen until they're murdered and die.
And most unusual that he was about to join our acting troupe as well. I feel he was on the cusp of agreeing to become a member of the Magical Cane Band.
Yes.
When the arrow cleft him in twain. What a powerful performer Hergor might have been, and yet we shall ne'er know.
I did get the strong impression that he was to murder us.
Oh, yeah.
Should we not give him what he wanted? And so, although an untimely end, perhaps a timely end for the Cane Band.
But what member of the Cane Band hasn't thought about killing the rest of the Cane Band at one point or another? In many ways, 'tis a prerequisite for becoming a member of the Cane Band.
I think Finn is right, and we all would have met a much stickier end had Budge not taken the action that he did.
Because of the
Broccoli!
honey. Oh,
Broccoli!
Yeah, I
I have not thought of killing the members of the Cane Band. Perhaps your wolf-like nature is taking over you early. How much do you want to kill them?
Oh, I really need. I was mainly thinking of thee, Rain. Almost every morning thou wakes and says that thou wishes to murder at least one of us.
Well, it'd be usually Budge.
Aye, true, 'tis true.
As long as the wolf curse is not taking over you.
Ah, I have no such compunction to feel the need to rage against my fellow Cane Band.
Broccoli, to refresh my memory, was your last potion was last night in game time, right? So 17th of Snowbreak evening, or you had your potion, right? So it's
Is that when he chose not to take it? The last one he actually took was 2 days ago.
I thought, if memory served, that the choice was made this morning.
Yeah, I can't
But-
remember.
I think that was the case. I think you were having a chat with Rain this morning, and that's when you made your declaration just before the fight. Okay, cool. So you've got your cake in front of you. How are the members of the Cane Band going with that cake? Are you eating it?
But we'll try it.
No.
It's definitely not.
Get into it and remember it. If thou eat the cake not, thou shalt be forever cursed, as is standard birthday ritual.
I'm breaking mine up, ostensibly checking to see if I've got the bit with the rat lungs in it, but really just breaking it down into little pieces.
Oh, who got the rat lung?
I'm checking mine, Broccoli. I'm checking.
Everyone, check that cake. Check that cake for rat lung. It's
I
the
did
best piece.
swallow it. I swallowed it whole. The piece is gone.
Spit it up.
Okay. Let's see. Alora, could you roll a d6 for me?
Sure.
Oh, I thought the first dice roll for today was going to be. Okay. Is everyone looking through your
I'm
pieces?
looking.
I'm looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nah, it's already gone.
Yeah. Finn's done that thing and rain something.
Fine.
Okay. Broccoli, you've got the rat lung.
Everyone, settle thee down. I have found here in this piece the prized lung of rat, with which I shall now bestow upon thee, Alora. Now, put thy lips around this tender morsel, that the power of the rat lung shall infuse thee with a breath of life that shall sweep thy next year forward, as if the winds of life were blowing through thee.
Thank thee, Broccoli, for that generosity.
Oh, thou needs not thank me for all thou hast done for us. This is the least thy deserves. Eat it. Feast upon it. Thy birthday bounty. Oh.
Can I cast a mage hand at this time? Alora, have you got it just like on a plate?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna get the mage hand just to like, as though like a big gust of wind has randomly come past, just like.
Wow.
Swap it out.
Broccoli, I'm sorry.
I will look for it.
Nature's bent. It is not to be enjoyed. The rat lung has been knocked off into the swamp. I'm sorry.
It's very bad
Oh
luck.
no.
Oh, piteous fate.
The rat.
Oh, that we have such a harbinger, a portent of doom here befallen us. Oh, Alora. Drop the ratted lung there upon the earth, the very breeze itself to whip it from thee. Thy grasp, unable to hold on to that which was bestowed upon thee. Oh, Alora. Oh, I fear that fate has cursed us here this day.
Worry not, Broccoli. I dropped it not. 'Twas fate that snatched it from my hand. I feel we are on the right path.
No, not, but shall think upon it. I could go find another rat.
Does
I'll
not
grab
work
another
like
rat.
that, Broccoli.
No, you're
We
right.
know a
But one
second
rat
rat
lung.
lung
Yeah,
will
that's
bestow
true.
but double the bad luck if
Yes.
eaten.
Yes.
Lost to us, friend.
Yes, thou art wise
Except
to
I
counsel me. Oh, well, I shall keep my gaze upon thee, Alora, in case fate has more bedevilment in store for thee on this thy birthday. Oh,
Thank you, Broccoli.
wretched stars!
I also wonder if, Budge and my purpose here completed, perhaps we should head further into more dry land before finding a suitable place to rest ourselves for this eve. It is
How are we carrying all these dragon bits?
This was my next question. How are you managing that?
Also, did we get teeth?
Oh, yeah.
You did.
There's a whole
Yeah.
load of teeth.
Aye.
Fangs aplenty.
Oh, I put some rat teeth in the cake as well. If you want some rat teeth, there's a little bits of. Who got the rat teeth?
Me.
If we are, I'm concerned not for the bag of holding. If we wish to put everything in there, but if we
Put some on Bastion.
bigger pieces that thou would wish to air, I can transport it on the disc.
Did
What
not-
is it? I can.
was just if my memory doth serve, did not the man who gave us the arrow and such a quest also, was he not able to open strange dimensional doors and had sending stone powers? Mayhap we do not have to carry them anywhere.
Dost thou wish
I
to
want-
to Roger?
No, I want to kill Roger. We are not
Hmm.
going to give him this. It was.
I trust not the
Hergor's
witness.
dying dying wish.
Indeed. It's true.
Then carry the dragon organs we shall.
Preserving them shall be a challenge I have yet to think about.
Is it something that thy nan would be able to assist us with, Budge?
Aye, but 'tis many days from here to the Moonwood. And the hide is one thing, and the teeth and the claws and the horns, but this gland and this huge heart, and
Shall we pickle them?
Have we salt?
Perhaps some. Do we have enough for these things?
It's a great deal of salt we would need to serve them.
Our next mission, to find industrial quantities of salt. I like it. Who shall we murder to find this salt, I wonder?
Adam,
Yes.
with Budge's background, because Budge is a smuggler, specifically a smuggler who worked around Lake Lewin.
Mhm.
And in the past, when he was like smuggling things, he would have a criminal contact for transporting such items.
True.
And it supposedly is also somewhere he can buy things slyly.
Yep.
Is that something that he could? And also, I think part of the feature is like I know how to contact them. Would this contact potentially be someone who I could meet by the river to buy and sell things? And I'm just curious.
Yeah,
I've
okay.
thought
So
about it.
we can mutually flavor this as seems like it would make sense for Budge, but I think what would make logistic sense, the river being the easiest path from the foothills of the mountains down to Lake Lewin and thus to Gabmouth, it would make sense for your contact to be along the river. And I think that the first thing that came to mind for me is you could contact this person with a set of special powders that you keep on your person. If you go to a few pre-agreed upon drop points and you burn those, or you build a fire and cast those on that, it will have a signal of a colored smoke for a certain amount of time. And then usually within that day, assuming your contact is around, they will come to the meet point.
The meat point.
The meet point.
Meats.
We need to burn the body
Why?
so no wizard can get a hold of anything we have left behind. Or at least submerge it.
Merging might be easier in this particular terrain than torching it.
Why? Although in this wild place, if we put it underwater, parts of it are going to be dragged back up, and parts of it are going to get eaten here. So we could make a mess now, or we could let nature make a mess in a bit.
Could we camouflage it so it looks as if 'twere a boulder or a log? With our theatrical paints and costuming skills, this Hergor could finally, in some ways, be a member of the band and forevermore play the role of log.
I look at the huge bloody mess.
A rotted, bloody log.
Just like red exposed muscle, patches of unusable scale here and there, bits of bone sticking out where they've had to be broken and pulled apart for organ extraction.
I can indeed, Rain, cause Hergor to be on fire, but I am concerned for myself because I know fire worries thee muchly. This would be a large fire.
Aye, and it would signal the guards that are after us.
Who here hath a spell that can send this dragon to a dimension most far? Raise thy hand, if thou has this skill.
Well,
Or a big hole. Big hole.
no.
Blast a hole and just put it in.
Well, I mean, we could
Dig
a
a
hole, but
grave?
it would take quite a time for a creature this big. I say we let things eat it.
The more things
Can we call our bird friends to eat the dragon?
Not without
Oh,
Glee.
If only we had Glee.
yeah.
Could ask
And
the-
given the amount of
could ask
time
the
it's
forest.
taken, actually, you would already notice that many flies have started to congregate around the exposed flesh and eye sockets and now toothless maw. There are birds who are very close by, beginning to fill the trees of a variety of kinds, scavengers
Tis
who are
true.
watching greedily, some of whom are circling right above you, ready to swoop down as soon as Budge and Alora move away from the corpse.
I think mayhap it is best to let nature take its course. the more creatures that come to enjoy Hergor's final rest will disguise our own attempts.
It's our gift, returning back to the nature which we have here, this day decimated. And all of the valuable parts we have already purloined. Any wizard who stumbled upon this carcass would at first think, huzzah! But then would be, oh drats, for all the valuable pieces are missing.
Indeed.
Oi.
Alright.
Even if we were to put it in the water, I imagine there's going to be parts of it that are going to be out. And just some larger beasts come and drag it up.
Perhaps best to say our farewells and depart.
And in a way, Hergor will be with us always, as Budge is starting to like push large sections of the hide into the bag of holding, like he's rolled up.
I'll just make a stack on the
Because you have like a 2-foot diameter, I think. Is that what the bag can open up
it's
to?
got quite a wide diameter. So like just because you said it was multiple large sections of hide, so I imagine Budge, even though it's still sort of, it hasn't dried, it hasn't been cured yet, the plan is to like put things in the bag of holding, and anything that needs drying and curing and working during our long rests, he's going to be like stretching them out to put them under like a light smoke to like tan them, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And Budge knows how to do this process, so he would be able to confidently do so, I think. So you're packing away in the bag of holding. Is there any other bits of business here at the site, the scene of the crime, that you'd like to accomplish before setting off?
Oh, there is one bit that we haven't got yet. Do you reckon I could get a jar of acid?
Get the brown acid.
You do have the fundamentum, which is
fundamentum.
stuffed full of the stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
cool. I'd like.
You could actually, if you wanted to, you could try to extract some by like swabbing the inside of Hergor's mouth or something like that, and try to get some like saliva and acid mixture.
I kind of just, if we've got the fundamentum gland, I just want to get like as much of it as I can, separate from that, to use in poison mixing.
You might have to make another check to milk it, as it were.
Then,
Yes.
do not let them do this to my body.
Upon my life, Rain, I shall not let budge upon your body and extract your fundamentum.
Thank you.
He may try and stop me.
Did I hear that?
Oh yeah, you say it, do you?
I just run across and punch him in the face.
While you're milking, does the acid go everywhere?
Are you trying to extract the acid right now, Budge?
Might as well before I put it in the bag.
Okay.
If it's not going to take long doing
Make
the clear-up process.
Make a survivor check.
Oh, we're on a crash course for an acid fight. Acid fight, everyone! Acid fight!
Oh gosh, sorry, I'm using. Here we go. Survival, you said?
That's what I said.
Oh, and just a regular roll. Oh,
Yeah. All right. You're.
I do get punched midway through though.
Well, look. Even with that, like, this is not an easy check. This is the hardest item of the dragon to deal with. And maybe because you've already had a crack at removing it from the body, you feel pretty confident about the level of pressure that it's under. You can notice that, as with like maybe similar poison glands and things like that you've worked with before, there's a kind of pressure built into this organ. So there's a kind of sphincter, a sort of sac, and then a tube. And then if you're able to depress the sac at just the right amount of pressure, then you can cause it to release a certain amount and then stop giving pressure. And luckily, I think with a roll that high, you manage to first use a larger vessel than a vial to collect, and it produces a lot more acid than a singular vial would hold.
Oh yeah.
Right. So then it's one of those things where it's like you unleash that, and then you immediately need to start transferring, and you'll lose a little bit in the process, but like because the acid will start corroding through the bigger container. But I'll say that for that, you can get 5 vials of basic acid.
How big's a vial? Is that like a
dose? So like if you're using like a flask that you throw to do acid damage, like that kind of unit, it's one of those.
Cool. Yeah.
I'm not sure of its volume in milliliters.
Sure, I'll just put them down as flasks of acid.
Yeah.
I pick up like a glob of like red tissue and blood and throw it at Broccoli's face.
Okay.
Disgusting.
Broccoli, when the blood and tissue hits you in the face, something comes over you. Just very quickly. It's like a sudden intensity of your senses. Like for a moment, everything has this sharp, coppery tang to it, and then a bitterness following up after it. Your vision actually, for a moment, goes dark almost to pinpoints, and then flares back up, and the effect is gone as soon as it came.
Nothing would please me more, Rain, than to indulge in a flesh fight.
Yes.
But I think I stood up too quickly.
Probably out that well.
I am well, perhaps allergic to dragon blubber. I know not. But this place, the fallen rat lung, I have a sense of foreboding that I can shake not. Where do we head, good friends? To leave this place of death?
Seek drier ground, I feel. Rain, a moment ago thou wast moaning the befall of this magnificent creature, and now art thou flinging pieces of it about?
Hi, Alora, do not judge me not. I would not like you to steal my organs, but a party with spewing my blood everywhere in each other's faces I would enjoy.
She has made that quite clear that her funeral rites will involve squirting of her blood on all those assembled mourning her. She has on many occasions stated this.
It's news to me, sorry, friends.
Were it so, Rain, that thee would not like a funeral of a clinical nature? No inventory taking of any of your organs, but a frolic in viscera is fine.
Aye, for if I could take out my own liver right now and throw it at thee, I would.
That's how I know.
I cannot, Broccoli.
I know, you tried that time. It was horrible.
I think then that we can fit everything into the bag then. So I think Budge will be done.
Yeah, you're good to go. So you know that Hergor's lair, Budge, is because you're coming on to mid to late afternoon now because of all the time it's taken to sort of split up and vivisect a dragon. You will need to make camp tonight, but you should be able to get to Hergor's lair by probably before midday tomorrow if you make good time.
We'll set that path then, and I'll whistle for Peeves to sort of try and come find us as we move.
Yep. After a little bit of walking, you'll see that Peeves had made himself hidden a little ways away, but visible from across the other side of the swamp, and he seems to have jumped some sort of waterfowl. Like it's hard to tell because he's made a bit of a mess of it since, but there's feathers everywhere, and he seems very satisfied with himself.
Oh, that's what I needed for the swamp cake. Oh, too little, too late, Peeves. Too little, too late.
And Webastian's still carrying his ball of web.
Yes, he is. from 2 sessions ago, I think, when he spent all night weaving as much web as he could.
There's a sign posted. I bet there's a poster stabbed into like a tavern wall in Gadmouth, which is like, find the giant spider.
And maybe you could get a gig out of it.
Good friends, I'm excited that we are on our way to the dragon's lair. because there may be loot there, but also have we considered we are traveling players, but wouldn't it be nice for us to have a home place, a place for us to do our theatricals where people know to come and see us? And does not the Dragon's Lair sound like a place that we could tell people, come and see our show at the Dragon's Lair? And if it is empty, perhaps we could turn this place into some sort of room where we could our theatrical endeavors perform on a routine basis.
Oi. If they don't mind swimming to get in.
I feel it prudent to tell the broccoli that it is in fact largely underwater and therefore suitable, unfortunately, only for myself from the king.
A fixer-upper, that's what I'm hearing.
Swimming.
Yeah. We can endeavor to shore it up, maybe.
All right. Just keep it in mind when we're looking at it. When we look it over, see if there's anything we might be able to repurpose for our theatrical, ventures.
We are looking for a venue.
I am hearing two plans. One, if the Dragon's Lair is suitable for performances, we kit it out.
Yeah.
Two, if there is enough loot, we buy a boat.
And then we use the boat as a second venue. Boat shows.
boat shows.
In two locations. If the boat is moored on the lake next to the lair, you can have one scene in one location, the next in the next.
Perhaps we could even call it the showboat.
The showboat.
And we could perform performances of a musical variety.
We can indeed, for thou art most skilled musically.
I am excited here. Oh, fingers crossed there is loot for the taking in the Dragon's Lair, and our dreams of boats will finally come to fruition.
But Laura, I feel as if you have taken over my mind. For a series of mirrors and burning torches, I think we should be able to light the cave as if it is a performance space.
Most easily, my friend.
So, these plans in tow, Budge, if you want to go ahead, you can make a survival check with advantage to determine kind of how good a time you make on this trip to Hergor's lair, which is not identical to the trip you took before, since you've diverged a little bit from your prior path. You've got Peeves' help and a hell of a survival score. Yeah, we love advantage. Okay, 26 is good. So I reckon, given your success in keeping to high ground, finding a reasonably direct path, and also just in general having a bit of good fortune in that the place where you are in the swamp has these available paths, you probably, if you make similar time tomorrow, or even if you made basic time tomorrow, you could get to Hergor's lair by roughly mid-morning rather than noon. And as a result, as the day fades in towards sunset, you find a very suitable place for a campsite. Probably the nicest one that you've found so far in the swamp. The ground where you get to takes a little bit of a trek up a hill, and it's dryish. Like, it's not even a little bit mucky, really. You get a place that's relatively flat. It's not too bad. There's some trees around, and you get a little bit of a view actually around the place, so you can see how far these very flatlands extend out in every direction, and how much of the landscape is in fact water as opposed to land. It's pretty vast.
You could see us for miles.
Well, that will depend on your choices, I guess.
I
They'd
think
have to see
sleep
through the canopy.
is boring. Sleep is boring. Let's just keep walking through the night.
All right. Does everybody else want to do that?
Nay, I wish to sleep. I'm most tired. And although I do not sleep, I wish to sit down for 4 hours.
Matt and Rick, I have a question for you. I feel like every time we set up a camp and we build a fire, we stick a pot of water on the fire that we have, which has whatever Budge and Broccoli can find in their vicinity that is suitable to be steeped into a tea and chucked in the pot. And Alora would like to call it today's tea, because it's always going to be a little bit different depending on what those guys find.
Sure.
Today's tea.
Today's tea.
Happy to do
Nice
that.
day.
Alora's a fan of today's tea. Each day, like whatever you find.
Yeah.
It
I
is
think there's
beautiful.
multiple pots on the fire.
Oh yeah. Oh, you've got some other uses for that fire on this particular evening, as discussed. So, are you stopping here to make camp, or are you pressing on? Seems like the energy is to stop.
Yes. Yeah,
Except
we
for rain.
should stop for tonight. For tonight, I forgo the potion, and it would be wise for me to have a moment to ponder the changes, to think about how it is affecting me to not have the potion tonight, and to be on alert lest I lose my way.
No, we should
Broccoli.
push the cane band to levels of exhaustion on my birthday, Rain. I think we should rest.
I did remember it was your birthday, and then I did remember we had no ale.
Sorry, friend.
Oh, wait, but we have honey, so we
And-
could brew mead over the course of many weeks.
And today's tea.
All right. So you.
Wait, yes, Rain.
Broccoli,
Aye.
if that does feel a change coming on, before I have had a chance to perhaps help you perform some rituals so that you can control your inner wolf, then you need to tell me so I can put the silver manacles on you. Or you will be none of us will be able to match you in strength if you do transform into the wolf.
True. And yet the moon is not full for some time, so here I have time to learn thy ways, the way of the wolf. Give me a hot tip now. Give me one. Give me one of the hot tips of the way of the wolf. Lay one on me, Rain.
Thou needs to pay attention to their bodies and feelings and sensations.
Oh, good. I need to think more about what is inside me and not what is without. I shall focus on these feelings and see what stories they have to tell.
Alora, thou was asking about tea?
Oh yes, I'm, as we know, a fan of the Gentleman's Today tea, and it's particularly this evening we've had a big day.
So
What is today's tea?
Budge,
This was-
or broccoli. Yeah. There you go.
Sorry, we didn't have as much time.
Friends, it's fine with me.
So while those of you who are setting up camp are setting up camp, or maybe setting up tending to your dragon parts, your tannery tents, Rain, if you want to have some chats with Broccoli about the ways of the wolf and stuff, you would have time to do so as the evening's sort of winding down and they're prepping things.
Also, 10 minutes before we started making up camp, Alora just started muttering to herself, and when we got to the camp, she said, "Collect thee some firewood to the spare air." And then all you can see is on the edge of the camp, logs being picked up and held by something you can't see. It's just collecting firewood and bringing it and dumping it in a pile and going. The wood is apparently moving by itself.
Oh, I'm fully distracted by this and try and ride the wood like a broomstick.
It could probably carry you for a part of like little. Almost
think-
like parents lifting their kid and just being like, "Yay!" for like a this span. That's about as far as. not very
I think
far.
yeah, you would find, Rain, that when you jump on it, it like holds you for a second and then just slowly descends to the earth and then sits there until you get off of it, and then the unseen servant picks it back up.
Goes back to picking up the wood, making the fireplace.
Done.
Thieves gets jealous.
In fact, I would imagine that Peeves, every so often when the stick is small enough, actually runs and grabs it from the unseen servant, like it's floating low enough.
Best thing in the world.
Like getting the dog walked.
Sorry, Rain, I interrupted the conversation with Brock.
Oh. Nay.
Rain. Here under the night sky, the moon, not yet even near its fullest, How does thou control wolf within thee? Thou can change at will.
I am hopeful I can help thee, and yet my memory is foggy, for it is a memory of my parents learning to control it in themselves and watching the rituals they did perform before they died horribly in a fire. And I taught the rituals help you control your blood. And I do not know if it will be the same for you, for you were bitten rather than cursed, but I hope it can be.
I'm like a glass of blood half full kind of guy. How dost thou change thyself into a wolf? What thinkest thou? Change thy form.
I imagine bubbly rage inside my veins. It's like all that anger and angst that I carry, I let it like travel within my veins, into my lungs and my heart, and then it explodes into a wolf.
So it is, as thou sayest, thou must know how thy insides work to change thy outside.
I can only think of one ritual that may be able to help you learn to control it, but it is a horrible one.
Ooh, how horrible.
Perhaps ×2, whatever you are imagining.
Was imagining a pretty horrible one where you have to stand on one leg for 10 minutes.
Oh,
and then do squats. Then do squats just when your leg's getting very tired. You've got to do pulsing squats on one leg. That's a pretty bad ritual. I can't imagine it's doubly worse than that.
It is much, much worse.
Because then in my ritual, you don't even get to do the other leg. So you finish and you're unbalanced. One leg's had a real workout and the other one's like, my turn. And you're like, no, you don't get a squat. What's your ritual?
We have to tie you down and then let your blood until you learn to control it and turn into a wolf so you don't die.
How much blood?
It would be up to you. If you can transform, then you will stop bleeding and your blood will be your own and you have control. Or we wait until you turn into a wolf, and then we see if you can turn back with love and coaching and hugs and kisses. This was for when children turned wolves earlier than they should have. But if you don't, if you cannot turn back to a wolf, then we will have to kill you, for you have not controlled it. So one is pre-wolf and one is post-wolf, and it is up to you which one you do decide.
This food for thought. So thou bleeds me, and if I can turn into a wolf not, I will continue to bleed until I am bereft of blood.
Yes. I will do a special chant and incantation and try and talk to your blood and help encourage it in your body.
Oh, like a mentor.
Aye.
A blood mentor.
It is how I make my fellows anxious, by talking to their blood.
Oh, this is good, and you can encourage my blood to be positive.
Be the wolf.
Yes. Well, this is a risky gambit, but if I am to trust in thee, then perhaps this is the risk I have to take. This food for thought. But wouldn't it be good to do this as a show? Like, imagine me. We could sell tickets. People could come and see whether I can control the blood. Well, I mean, I'd pay money to see that.
Aye. And yet, we should perform it when there's no one around for you to be able to eat them. I am just not
that's
sure
true.
if it's too early yet.
Yes, we surely have time on our sides while the moon is at its weakest.
Aye. And if thou is a chicken, let me know, and I can just attack thee when thou is least expecting it and surprise the ritual upon you.
Oh, I like that. Yes, that could be good. But once I have made my decision, I will let thee know. But I may choose the surprise option because not from cowardice, but because it sounds like a lot of fun. Oh, I thank thee, Rain. Thy mentorship is much appreciated. And we also need a wolf pack. We need a secret wolf pack handshake and code words.
Oh, yes, I shall think upon those.
Yes, but we can't get too clicky. You know, the non-wolves will get sad.
Broccoli,
I
love you.
and I love thee too, Rain. I thank thee for this new path thou has steered me down and now guides me on.
I finally have a family.
Wolf pack, wolf pack, wolf pack, wolf pack. Not too loud, not too loud. The others are listening. Stop it, stop it.
As the evening wears on, gets later, and obviously Rain and Broccoli are clearly having a moment over on the other side of the campfire, Alora will wander off not too far so the cane man can still see her, but I'm looking for a fallen tree or a log or something I can just sit on, relatively dry, just to have a bit of a moment. And I'll just sit there, and as far as the rest of the cane man can see at the distance, is she's staring at her fist.
I think Finn is gonna see what's going on. Make sure Alora's had a nice birthday.
Do you approach Alora?
Yes. I think kind of just something gentle on the lute. Just kind of walk up and, Alora, what brings thee so far from the camp?
Friend. And so Alora obviously will notice Finn coming towards her, so just kind of give her a small smile and then open her palm to show Finn in her hand is a tiny little velvet drawstring bag. She doesn't open the bag, she doesn't need to, because Finn has seen this bag before and is familiar with its contents. So she just holds it and looks at it and says, I don't believe I ever told thee this, my friend, but we shared a birthday. Had he lived, he would have been 47 this year. So I think he and he would have been fast friends. He laughed easily. He was a difficult person to be sad around. Broccoli doth remind me of him in that regard. He's of similar disposition.
Must be hard every passing year.
It's been a decade now since he has passed. So I remember actually the first year that I discovered we did indeed share a day of celebration. It was the 18th of Snowbreak, and at this point there was naught between us. I was a passenger simply serving in navigation to assist my travels to seek for the Azkalite. But we were summoned to the deck. As I came up, I saw various crews setting up refreshments, and there was a general sense of merriment about, and I thought, nay, none here do know that today is my birthday. But as I observed the patterns on the deck, I realized the general flow of the merriment and attention was to the captain, and I was so relieved to discover that I was not to be the center of attention that I laughed out loud. And across the deck, surrounded as he was by cheering and singing and delight, he turned to look at me. He heard me laugh through the din, and he sought to see what it was that made me thus mirthful. Now, eyes locked through the crew across the deck. And to me anyway, everything was still. And as we looked at each other in that moment, I believe, maybe we both did, we knew that we were looking at forever. And from that point, we were inseparable until the end. But I think every birthday, I like to just take a moment to say happy birthday. Oh, Ben, you're muted.
I'm sorry that I have troubled you at such a quiet moment.
Nay, friend, I think thou art the first person that I have shared this moment with. I'm very happy for thy company.
Dost thou have a song you would wish for at such a moment? Is there one you shared together?
Most of the songs sung upon the sea are shanties, my friend, and not... There are some more reflective in nature, but most are working songs with a purpose. Perhaps a bit too up-tempo for such a moment. But if thou dost know anything...
Then I shall play you a song written for your birthday. If I might find it. That I had spent the day penning, and although it is written for you, perhaps it was also written for your other half. For methinks you shared more than just a birthday. Bing, 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 bing. In her day, she hath sailed for many seas. High and low do flow in her blood. A beacon to all around her, everyone agrees. Her with love today we will flood. Alora, Alora, mistress of the seas. Alora, Alora, she puts our band at ease. Alora, Alora, as collide she will seize. Alora, Alora, to all our hearts you have the keys. Ocean she is known to roam. With us she will never be alone. Special treats for us she does tinker. He makes our ship of friendship never sinker. Alora, Alora, happy birthday. Alora, Alora, you show us the way.
Yeah. Thank you, my friend. And I believe the captain would have thoroughly enjoyed your song. Not as much as I.
Thou sayest it was forever, and indeed, methinks that with him it is not the end, and that though you shall not meet again on this plane, you shall meet again on another.
Indeed. I hold to that hope, my friend. And I hold up my today's tea and chink Finn's cup.
Donna, please consider your point of inspiration renewed. So if you don't find reason to spend it this session, you can spend it next session.
Gotta find some headphones.
That's lovely. So you've birthday songed. You have gotten the setup budge pretty confidently so that you've got your fire or fires as needed going so that you can sort of smoke bits of the hide and move them around every so often to make sure they're drying evenly. It is now past sunset. It's growing dark. The first stars are coming out. If you are going to bed down, it is getting down towards that time. If you want to set a watch, you can do that, or up to you. How do you want to pass your night?
I'm gonna stay up for a bit. Just
Where
cross-legged on the ground, looking up at where the moon in the sky might be, and just meditating in a meditative state. Just thinking about my feelings. Just trying to figure out how the blood around me is moving and what that might mean.
Rain, were you going to say something just then?
Yeah, Rain walks around like confused, working out where he would sleep, and eventually finds Peeves and just flies next to Peeves.
Oh.
Okay. Broccoli, you're trying to get in touch with your own feelings. I would like for you to make an insight check with advantage, please.
Inside. Oh, plus. Ooh.
So you can roll one more time. Five being the number to beat thus far.
Okay.
Good time to shout out Matt Day, our technomancer in residence, creator of Rollcast, so we get these slick virtual dice rolls. Well, that's a bit better. 18. Now, this is unlike a normal insight check. You are doing an insight check of yourself.
Oh, who's
We've
making
got
that
some
noise?
paper shifting
I
around
think that
somewhere.
might be-
Maybe that's Donna's.
Donna's new mic.
Sorry, it's me.
Yeah.
Very loud.
Sorted. Finn steps on a twig loudly nearby as you're meditating.
I'm thinking about my feelings, Finn. I'm thinking about my feelings.
But you did set up for yourself so that you had some quiet, you have a focus, and you have little to no distractions around. So you're just listening to your body. And in a way, this is similar to a state you've experienced a few times before. Right before you fall asleep. You know, that kind of like airy and light calmness where for a moment you kind of forget you have a body. When you feel that, instead of the usual emptiness that fills that time, there's something different there. A kind of low thud, 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 thud. And after a time, you start to feel that thud at the same time as you hear it. You have become in tune with your own heartbeat. You can feel all of the little hairs along your body respond to that pulse of heat and blood racing through your veins. You can feel your breath echoing around that beat, moving in a kind of slow time alongside it. And then inside, you can actually feel temperature change. When you first become aware of this, it is heat, a kind of fire inside. And then that heat, as you calm from that first awareness, becomes cold. And the calmer you get, the cooler that sensation becomes. And the change causes sweat on the back of your neck to break out suddenly, almost as though you've broken a fever. In a strange way, now, something about that noise, that internal rhythm, is easy to detect. Like it's been there all along. You just never noticed it. And your eyes find the moon. It's a half moon, roughly thereabouts. And as some clouds overhead move out of the way from your high vantage point, you have a pretty good view of it. And suddenly, you have a familiar sensation that you had earlier today. You take a deep breath in through your nose, and all of the scents around you become vivid, almost like the equivalent of bright light, but for your nose. You have to sort of you're taken aback for a moment. Suddenly the today tea of thistles and water is extremely pungent, whereas it's usually a pretty mild tea. You can smell the bits and remains of dinner as though you're still eating it. On the outsides of the perimeter of the camp, you can smell a freshly killed frog that some predator has dispatched of not far away. The muck and the mire has this usual sort of fetid smell, but it is now overpowering and sort of pervasive and everywhere. And finally, you get just the faintest whiff of Hergor's blood, still lingering around you from where Rain threw that piece at you earlier in the day. And though you wiped it off, some residue of it is still nearby on the flesh of your face. And it is bitter. It is like the smell of the acid itself. It smells like boiling. It's hard to put it other than that. You smell it, and that sensation of being near a boiling kettle or boiling water fills your body, and it causes your blood to change. You can feel the thrumming increase, the temperature increase. And it is a bit like having a different sense. A sense inside your body instead of outside of it. Your blood could smell or feel. That's maybe the best way to describe it. And when a cloud comes across the moon again, things subside just slightly, but they're not gone. That feeling, that attunement to your blood is there. Just turned down a few notches. And you think maybe if you really wanted to pay attention to it again closely, you always know where to find it.
Say, whoa. Cool.
All right. Is everyone going to bed? Well, so passes away the evening of the 18th of Snowbreak then. In evenings past, you have used your tiny hut to sleep. Are you doing that tonight, Finn? Or are you just camping under the stars?
Friends, dost thou wish for a tiny hut?
Bren is already asleep with
He's
Pete.
just
Matt, I think we don't have your audio. If you were talking just then.
Oh, I love a tiny hut. Let's go. Just put it over the top of Rain and Peace, and we'll all just get in it. Be nice to just sleep without having to do a watch.
Okay, so is everyone sleeping? No one taking watch?
Alora will sit for a bit looking at the little bag in her hand, but then eventually.
Okay,
Been a watch after 4 hours.
sure. And you can take your trance, as it were, and everyone can go to sleep. And or trance, as it were. Now, Broccoli.
yes.
You have fitful dreams as the night comes. Snatches of brief color, sound, images. A kind of confused weaving of the last few days. Just memories mostly. You see Azor, Azifantasi. You see the book lying in the mud where Glee used to be holding it. You hear the sound of guards coming beneath your rope trick invisible dimension, looking out as seeing them hunting for you, and hear the drunkenly crying Rain sulking behind you. You see Web Ashton proudly presenting his basketball-sized lump of web with weary 8 spidery eyes. And as all of these things are sort of moving back and forth, there is a feeling of urgency, a need for haste, like you need to get there, but you're not running. It's like you're moving through your mind, trying to find a memory. And these images begin to flare up faster and faster in front of you. And suddenly, you realize that the memories have smells. This one smells like strawberry, and this one like thistle tea, and this one like burning cedar wood. Each one as strange and distinct as the last, but none of them are right. None of them are the right memory. Then you go further back in your mind. You see a dirtied cobblestone street. Underneath a large looming wall is the familiar cobblestone streets of Egg Valley. You see yourself digging a trap, placing spikes and Alora's contraptions in these pits. This smells better. Everything suddenly smells appetizing. Coppery, sweet, warm. There's a louder thud, and a thud, and a thud, and then faster. You see the familiar face of Vana, the woman who you helped, who you later found out was Lady Vana of House Webster. Thud, thud, faster this time. The door in front of you shakes. You look down and see nothing. You are invisible, hiding with your hammer, waiting to let it fall. The world smells vivid, and you know the smell now. It's the smell of blood. But that smell is now like the sweetest, most intoxicating liquor ever brewed, like the finest cocktail you could have ordered. It is taunting you. It is tormenting you. You can feel your veins inflamed by it. There is nothing in the world but blood. And then you taste it. You feel blood all over your fangs, dripping to your gums, and finally to your tongue, where it is an explosion of joy and perfection. Heat coursing through you like fire from your mouth to the rest of your body to your extended claws as they rip again into the gray flesh in front of you, and then scratch against the chainmail armor that you're trying to tear apart. You feel other arrows and swords and daggers strike at you from the side, one of which is full of that poison, silver. You scream in pain, looking up to the sky. And then you dig your teeth again into that gray flesh in front of you. But it's not a faceless, nameless container for blood and meat anymore. It's your face. Broccoli's face. Standing in front of Peter Stubbs' house, and you are tearing into Broccoli. You lean back, and you can feel it building in you, staring at the horrified Broccoli, blood gushing from his neck. And there's nothing in you except for a long, wailing, triumphant howl, desperate to emerge from you. And then everything stops. Broccoli stands before you, blood dripping down his neck, and the blood stops. There is a soldier around the other side of the house, just coming around. And then there is a wolfed out Rain coming after him, claws and teeth already covered in blood. Stopped. Everything still. Except for one figure. Suddenly at your side, looking calmly at you. She is tall as you are. Entirely gray. Gray in clothing, long, kind of flowing fabric robe, almost in the manner of like a toga, which falls almost like watery silk around her. And she is also wearing a kind of armor that is complementing that tunic or toga, with shining silvery plates on shoulders, chest, and across the back. In one hand, she is holding a hammer, and in the other, a set of scales. Balance. She looks to you and speaks with a voice that's familiar and unfamiliar. A voice at first like your grandmother's, then not. Broccoli. Thy heart beats. The very force of vengeance itself finds you. You will know my name in its hunt. A lone warrior, you now are no longer. She holds out the hammer, puts it in front of you. When you taste it, hold. Hold. It will burn thee, Broccoli. You must burn. And she holds the hammer out to you. Do you accept it?
Yes, I take the hammer.
The hammer then glows white hot as it touches your palm and is immediately beginning to burn your hands. In fact, it seems like it is melting where you're holding it, not dripping to the ground, but reforming. Its long, familiar shape, just like your own warhammer, gleams bright as the sun, and then begins to shrink, to condense into your hand and your other hand as you hold it. It is beginning to merge with your hands like hot metal covering them. And the pain is intense. That howl is burning in your lungs, this time in pain and rage and not joy. Suddenly, the metal of the hammer is not a piece of a separate object anymore, but like gloves on your hand. And it begins to form long, jagged, hooked claws coming from your fingertips. Your hands reshaping to match. Not the wolf hands anymore. Broccoli's hands. And Broccoli, I would like for you to make a wisdom saving throw, please. You do have your bonus from your aura of protection.
I think I missed what you asked me to do.
Make a wisdom saving throw.
That's the only bit I didn't hear. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I missed a critical bit. Wisdom saving throw.
Mm-hmm. Pretty good. Pretty good. It's a good modifier for that saving throw.
Why is it so high? What have I got?
Well, you got your aura bonus.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's very good nonetheless. Probably you fight this feeling inside of you. It is more than your blood around your chest and heart. It is moving up into your mind, to your brain, filling your entire body with that feeling of burning. And you know that relief will come if you just open your jaws and howl at the sky. You don't. And suddenly that heat and that pain that has been filling you and throbbing again and again subsides. And instead of pain, you feel a sudden brightness and lightness, and a gentle hand on your shoulder. And as soon as that hand touches you, everything becomes silvery white all around you. And you hear that voice again. You are not alone, Broccoli. You must embrace the... And the voice becomes a growl, in mid-word, and suddenly everything around you is a singular howl, splitting into 100 other howls, as the sky fills with the song of endless wolves. You are running. You are running faster than you've ever run before, and branches are whipping past your face, shattering. You can feel some of them sticking into your fur, and it doesn't matter. Nothing can slow you down. You're tearing down a mountain like you're falling down it or flying, but your feet are hitting the ground. And you smell that familiar smell. Blood. This blood hasn't been spilt yet. That's your job. To your left and your right, you see other wolves like you, signaling to each other. One of them, a familiar shape, about half the size of most of the others. She leaps up onto the branch of a low-hanging tree and then leaps triumphantly into the air, onto your back. And both of you howl and howl and howl. And then you hear that familiar voice as the dream begins to fade. And you shall always now know the phase of the moon. For like her journey, yours, ever circular, ever fickle. Sleep, broccoli, and rise with the moon. Your claws begin to gleam with that same radiant energy that your hammer does. And that's the last thing you see before you return to a restful sleep. Finn, your 4 hours pass, and you have tranced out. You are now completed a long rest. And what would Finn like to spend her remaining hours of night doing while the rest are sleeping?
I think that's having seen the dragon slain. This is totally fuel for a story of like the cane band's felling of a dragon. So I think that's just percolating. How to turn this into a show.
Sure thing. So then you can pass the remainder of the night musing, as it were, having a crack on that. After a few hours, in a turn of events that you'd be used to by now, Finn, but a bit different from the lakeside, the swamp life is always teeming in a different way than the forest and near the lakeshore. It's just a question of which frogs, toads, cicadas, bugs are active. But sometime just before dawn, there's a kind of strange silence. And you realize how little moves in the swamp compared to other places. Extreme stillness. Barely a sound of moving water, or bubbling, or trickling. No rain, no wind. Just still. And then when the sun begins to rise, you start to hear the first birds. Cranes, egrets, some far-off crows. And the rest of you can slowly begin to wake up on this, the 19th of Snowbreak. So you can click through your long rest. And it is now 9 o'clock. So I guess that's perfect timing for us to take a bit of a break. When we return in 10 minutes time at 9:10, we will conclude with our second half of our session of Bardic Inspiration. In the meantime, please have a break, a bit of a stretch, get some tea, and then in 10 minutes time, we shall return for more D&D. Farewell. We are back. Welcome, everyone, back to Bardic Inspiration. We are picking up fresh off a long rest. This is the 19th of Snowbreak. What a 19 days this year has been for the Magical Game Band. You began your journey on an island in Lake Lewin 19 days ago on the Festival of Snowbreak. Who would have known that by now you would have traveled to Orst and then back and then down to Gadmouth, where you have just slain a black dragon, and now you find yourself en route to its lair, which, Budge, you reckon is likely to be accessible by mid-morning. So you've got a little bit of time to like break camp and assemble, make breakfast, etc. If there's anything you want to do or discuss before you set off, now is that time. Cane Band, over to you.
Here we are, Cane Band. Another day dawns. And what have we to fear? We have faced all dangers, and yet here we stand. Nothing that this world has thrown at us has yet bested us. Why? For we are not just warriors with fighter's spirit and a magician's touch. No, we are theater makers, friends. We have the very touch of the muse to drive us on. We are infused with the muse, and we do not infuse the infuse of the muse. We use the clues of the muse to infuse, but never abuse, for that would be a ruse. Walk a mile in my shoes, and you'll see that there is more than one way to skin a rabbit. And here today, if we see a rabbit, we shall dare skin it, for such a delicious lunch shall that be. And while we travel to the dragon's lair, the very dragon whose blood here rests upon our hands, and whose organs await the sail so that the boat can be ours, then look at each other in the eyes, good friends, and know that whatever befalls us this day, it shall know the name of the Cane Band, and if it fears it not, it shall at least know that we are a force to be reckoned with, as nature itself, good friends. There is the wind, there is the earth, there is fire, and there is water, and now there is us, the magical Cane Band. And so, as we have our breakfast, know this, we shall triumphant be.
Broccoli, I just asked if you were hungry. I mean,
10 minutes
I love
later.
I love starting the day like this, but here you go.
I feel like I have increased temporary hit points.
Yeah, that's so good.
Just from listening. Speaking of, how many does everyone get, Inspiring Leader?
You all get 10. 10 temporary
So
hit points.
good.
Oh yeah, that level up.
That is
Whoa.
awesome. That's a huge bump.
It really is. I'm so glad that you took this feed, Rick.
Yeah, me too. It's so much fun.
That's the best.
So good.
Thank thee, Broccoli. Good morrow. And a question: what be today's tea?
We'll find it on the way.
Fingers
Shall
crossed some rabbit. Skin that rabbit.
Oh, I hated rabbit tea.
What? Oh,
Too gamey. It's more like a stew anyway.
the game's a foot. You put the foot in there. Tastes delicious.
All right, let's go find some feet.
You going on a hunt
As-
for breakfast? Is that what's happening?
I mean,
Or whatever
if-
you're doing?
I see. I think as Bud is. Oh, sorry. What were you going to say, right?
I was saying we need to go. I want
What?
to get to this lair. Hurry up.
Yeah.
As Bud is finishing packing up, he'll say to Rain, if thee are the first to see the dragon's lair, I shall give thee a magical present.
What?
If thee are the first to see the dragon's lair, nay, no one sees it before thee, I shall give thee a magical present.
Why?
For fun. Why not? Why are they so suspicious of me? Right, I thought perhaps we are friends now? In some capacity?
I do not know the prank that you are pulling, and I am
prank?
suspicious of you.
No prank? A new leaf for Budge and Rain.
And then I just start running up into the forest.
Oh, she's off!
I'm assuming Rain has no idea where she's going. just sprint.
Oh yeah, we're heading that way, eh? She'll be back.
All right. Caneban, if you are setting off, go ahead and make your customary survival check with advantage. Budge, as you and Peeves take point.
I'm just gonna roll both and add 9 to them. Just be quicker.
Find the
Easy.
better one.
It is, what is it, 16?
16. Yep. Okay.
Wait. I have run off.
Yeah.
Whether I've run ahead or run off in the opposite direction, I am no longer with the party.
That's probably
Okay.
why it's so low.
Well, it's up to both you and the party how you deal with that, because Budge knows where you're going. Rain, actually roll. I'll say roll a d4. You don't have no idea where you're going. You have some idea based on your progress, so you're not going to backtrack.
Surely I could roll a survival check.
Well, you have no idea where you're going. You're right at the moment. You're just going forward-ish compared to where you've been
We
going.
did go there
if you
together,
remember,
Yeah.
from a different place.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, right now you're just in the middle of swamp. Okay. So, Budge, Rain has taken off running. She is going vaguely in the correct direction, but not quite on track. She's kind of like taken some high ground that looks like a good idea, but it is gradually getting further and further away from the proper path, which is going to require you to pick your way over some water and kind of hop through the other side.
I should have expected that. All right, we'll follow her, and then when we catch up to her, when she gets tuckered out, we'll start going along the right path.
Okay. Rain, how long do you keep sprinting ahead?
Can I find a rabbit and then just bring it back?
Yeah, make a survival check.
Roll again.
I can't. I also have advantage on survival checks.
For certain survival checks, not all survival checks,
I
including
think
this one.
getting a rabbit would be one, surely.
No, it's specifically about tracking fae, fiends, undead, and specific creatures, right? Isn't that what your blood
Oh, man.
feature is about? Okay. The halfling
No,
luck.
Wild game is the first thing.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, good. You effectively had advantage anyway because you rerolled that one. If you'd like to, I guess if you're combining those features, you can roll one more time just to see. You get crazy high.
I will. Give it a shot.
I imagine it was another one.
Distracted.
No. Okay. So 13 is your best roll at this point. It takes you a little bit, but you do actually manage to catch one. Your hunter's instincts, strong as they are, you're not using traps or other ways that tend to be effective, and you don't. Actually, you do have a short bow, don't you? I think you've used that before. It's probably going to be your most effective means of operation. You eventually trace down a few that are playing along kind of the edges of some drier ground. They tend to be very shifty, but eventually you spot one as it's peeking out of its warren, and you manage to get the shot in. And in a little bit, the rest of you see Rain trudging along through some muck, holding a newly slain rabbit.
Oh, nice.
Look. Oh, today's tea is going to be excellent indeed. Oh, and I spoke earlier of there being more than one way to skin a rabbit. Which way should we skin this rabbit? We could traditionally skin it with a simple, using the dagger and ripping the skin off. We could lightly char the skin and scrape it off. Someone might have a spell to make the skin disappear. Hands up if thou hast a spell that can make the rabbit skin disappear. Ugh. Oh. Then Budge, you're in charge of rabbit skin removal on this day.
Novel.
I hand over the rabbit to Budge, and then I walk alongside Finn.
Sure.
Yes, Ren.
I cannot tell you yet. I will tell you soon, though.
Ren, thou canst not lead a telling like that. Thou must, if thou art to offer information, then thou must follow through.
I know, and yet my feelings are a bit confuddled. I will think on it a bit more and then come back to thee.
I'm most bemused. Matt?
Oh, sorry. Over the course of the journey, because it's not too long, right? It's only like
No, you just got
an
a couple
hour
of
or two.
hours. Yeah.
Budge will say to everybody in the magical cane band that if they are the first to spot the dragons, then that they will get a magical present, a magical treat of some kind.
Ooh.
Individually to everyone.
So it's not a public announcement to everyone.
It's not a public announcement.
Like you
It's
pull
more like,
aside each person.
if you do it, you're gonna get something. Yeah.
Ugh. I think to Webastian that we've got to. I tell Webastian we've got to find this lair, and I send Webastian out scouting.
Okay. Have Webastian make a survival check.
Webastian.
Did you have Webastian the first time? I don't think you did the first time you came to Hergor's lair. That was probably before you could cast this spell.
First time we saw Webastian was at Edwin Banks's death.
That's right.
No.
Sudden
One out, one
Sebastian. All things of balance.
Pretty sure it captured Edwin's soul, right?
Yeah, that's him. That's what happened. Okay, Webastian is scuttling along ahead, occasionally trying inelegantly to spider swim across the surface of some of the watery bits. It's a slow thing, a spider swim, a giant spider swim. You occasionally hear him splashing around, or then climbing up as much as he can onto the trees that are around here. Most of them are pretty small. But he's kind of zigzagging in front of you and doing this thing where he it gets far ahead and then doesn't actually know where he's going, so he just sort of waits until he gets a read on where Budge is going, and then keeps going a little bit ahead of that. And then
Doing good.
Yeah.
Following from the front.
Mm-hmm.
Budge's whispered comment is also the reason why the boat is 300 feet ahead of us.
Yeah.
And every now and again, Alora just kind of vagues out for a second and then comes back to herself.
Uh-huh. Having a look. Cheeky. Okay. In that case, well, what's the only fair way to decide? So I feel like we're gonna have to roll for it. So any who are interested in participating in Budge's little competition,
The game's afoot.
the game is afoot. So anyone who is interested, make a survival check.
Ooh, I like a survival check.
I think this is a fun. I like the image of like normally it's just Budge like leading everybody and people talking and relaxing, and now Budge is like he's barely having to do any of the work because everyone's just looking.
Oh, who's that?
Sorry, Broccoli.
Oh, buddy. Because I think everything's the dragon's lair. This tree, this could be the dragon's lair. Is this the entrance to the dragon's lair?
Rain with a 12.
Alora has it.
Looks like it.
He pays attention. He pays attention.
I mean, it makes sense.
Been letting this game slide on past.
Oh, Finn, I do not think. Finn's like, oh, cool, Budge.
No, it really is like it's a magical. You'll see.
Perhaps unsurprisingly, with your 300-foot advantage, Alora, after a couple of hours of walking, you get a glimpse with your boat of what you could swear is a familiar copse of trees. And then you kind of have to beg back in. And then no one seems to have said anything yet, so you can kind of keep going a bit further. And then when you get a bit further, you can zoom forward again, and then you are quite confident. There's a familiar big stretch of water with a large mound rising up in the center. Just up ahead of where your boat is, you can see the little rise coming up out just above the water level.
Friends, we have arrived. Not but 300 feet ahead of us is Hergor's lair.
How did he see it?
I used the boat.
So technically,
Now
she didn't
I'm
lay her.
not seeing it.
Yeah, she hasn't laid her eyes on it. I take off. Come on.
It's
Come on,
Broccoli
Sebastian.
running.
Let's go. Gonna get my hands on that thing.
I don't
Yeah.
take-
Yeah, no. So Broccoli is sprinting. Web Ashton is ahead of you. He's leading. He's leading from the front. Web Ashton is the closest creature besides the boat to this area.
Well, Budge wins.
Is anyone else running?
No.
Just Broccoli and Web Ashton. Okay. Web Ashton is thinking into your head, Broccoli. I think I have found it. No, I have not. I have not found it. I
I
think
don't really know what I'm looking for either. I'm just.
Am
Am I roll of one? I think I run right past it.
This is like a thing like Scooby-Doo, like you crossing Web Ashton in the woods and then like turning around and coming back later. Be like, did you see it? Did you see it? Nope, I didn't see it. And thinking it.
If I was a dragon, where would I lair?
By the time the rest of you get up to where the boat is waiting, Broccoli and Web Ashton are each kind of tromping around in the water, like 60, 80 feet left and right, and like signaling to each other.
No.
Web Ashton is swimming in the water where the entrance to the lair is, but totally not seeing the entrance to the cave. And eventually climbs up onto the big mound and is like looking around.
And I'll just walk straight to it.
So
Alora
the
has won.
I'll play a little flourish on the lute to
Nice.
like mark the occasion.
You are here at Hergor's lair. Now you can't walk in necessarily. You have to swim.
Oh,
at
Alora
least
has
the last
disappeared. It is the curse of the rat lung. Oh, she has returned.
Sorry about
bit. I was just saying you'll have to swim to get into the lair itself because the entrance is basically a tunnel that is mostly submerged in water, some air overhead. I think Alora, as the boat, is the only one of you who has been inside, right?
Oh, I've been in there.
Oh, that's right. Budge has been in there. That's what started this whole business. What were you gonna say, Rain?
I was not saying anything.
I thought you were about to say something just in before I said that.
No.
Alora has won the day. Time to award her a magical trinket.
To thy prize would be like for the next hour hence, the endurance of a bear, the grace of a cat, the splendor of an eagle, the cunning of a fox, or the wisdom of an owl. It's a choice you may make.
Splendor of an eagle.
Oh, tis a popular choice. Tis a popular choice.
Yeah. Alora,
And
that
Budge will
already has
take
the
out
wisdom of an owl.
in his hands like a bunch of little take from his cloak a bunch of little animal parts that have been like polished and like sort of carefully cared for. There's like a beautiful feather. There's like some pieces of fur, each seemingly equivalent to one of these animals.
And I feel like you could have given her one of these for her birthday, just without her having to pass a test, Budge. If you could have, we went a whole day. It was her birthday yesterday,
and I killed a dragon for her. All right.
That's yeah. All right, that's true. All right.
I understand not exactly what each one of these entails, Budge. What thinkest thou is most meet for our current purpose?
Graceful like a cat.
Race of a cat is the most fun, in my opinion, for it does mean that even if they drop from 20 feet high, they will always land on 9 feet. But perhaps the owl's wisdom, as he plucks the feather.
She's already said what will help the most with loot gathering in a dragon?
I think it would help you spot the loot more carefully.
I have the wisdom of the owl.
And sort of as I pass it to Alora, I shall cast Enhance Ability for Owl's Wisdom. And you now, for the next hour, have advantage on all wisdom checks.
Lorraine, I need not the strength of a bear, for I have thee, my friend.
And then I jump in the water and start swimming.
Same deal as last time. I shoot the boat ahead of her to just check that the coast first.
Okay, are you gonna bamf into your boat vision?
Yeah, I'll just put my hand on Finn's shoulder. This is a common thing, you know.
Okay, so was that advantage on all wisdom checks for enhanceability?
That's advantage on all, on every skill check that has a base of wisdom.
Can
Okay.
everybody hear that noise?
There's like a little wee.
It's my washing machine.
Oh, sorry.
That's fine. It's casting prestidigitation with very slow ritual casting time. Okay, so make a perception check with advantage via the boat.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's number 1.
Pretty good start.
Nice.
Pretty good start.
And number 2. But I'm probably going to take number 1. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, came close. Came close. Okay, a 29. You have the familiar sensation of the inside of this layer, which you have seen through this means before. It is dark, very dark. But you can see by the light that your boat emits. It is mostly the surface of water that you see at first, reflecting your light. As the boat moves through, and Rain, you would begin to sort of see it from where you're swimming in. There are slimy, muddy walls all around, and some kind of like basically pockets of land that you can walk on around the perimeter of this muddy pool that is the dominant area of the floor space. The ceiling, being the underside of the hill, is still relatively high. But there are like roots of trees dangling down from it into the airspace, some of which go all the way down to just barely touch the water in places. It is extremely dark. With a 29, however, when the boat is making a circuit, and Rain, by this time you would be properly in there as well and see a lot of this area. Yep.
As soon as I arrive, I put on the head torch Alora gave me.
Cool. Alora, you would see that beginning to come into effect. So now it's more lit up, and by the competing lights of the head torch moving around and your boat moving around, you see once more in the space you were looking just before you first heard Hergor's voice. There is a glint of something metal from the wall of the muck in the far left corner from where you're entering. And in fact, when the light goes over it doubly bright, there is a kind of odd shimmer, almost like a glitter effect, the muck, as opposed to the usual dull gleam of wet earth.
I saw that in the wall last time I was in here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yes, indeed.
start investigating around.
Okay, so all of you are following in physically at this point, I imagine.
Yes.
All right. The first thing you would notice, and Rain, you would have noticed it right away, even from the outside, is that the smell of this place is intense. It is positively reeking with that same smell that Hergor had about him. That kind of bitter, acrid, bubbly smell. It is oppressive. Like, taking deep breaths in this room for a while, you kind of get a little lightheaded. It's not enough to properly cause damage or anything like that, but it's a lot. So, you are here. You've had a look around with your boat. I presume you're going to be... well, you tell me. What do you do with your time while you're in here?
I am running around, thoroughly disappointed that I can't find any treasure.
And I'm methodically investigating.
Then make a methodical investigation check.
And when I get in there, I take out my hammer and I say, "Flash hammer, activate!"
Lights everywhere.
Correct.
With the combined 3 lights of Rain's head torch, what is that? Hey, hey.
That's why you
Good to
said
have
the
a-
investigator.
Yeah, good to have a smarty in the party sometimes, huh? Okay, all right. So, sometimes natural 20s are the result of outstanding individual effort, incredible luck, and sometimes they're a result of a situation where you feel you have not so much time pressure, you have lots of help, and you can move stress-free or relatively stress-free, point by point, to the ways that you know how to do this. As a result, with all of your help, and with some pre-knowledge about a particular area of interest in the room, Alora, let me tell you a few things that you come across. The glint of metal that you noticed when you first came through with the boat is a dagger, which has been fully submerged in the muck itself. When you get a bit closer and you can use the light of the boat to have a look at it, you pull it out, and it is clean when you remove it from the muck. The mud does not seem to stick to it, or at least it looks clean. The closer you look at it, the more it looks like there's something on the blade. It can't be a reflection the way you're holding. It's dark. It's moving like liquid. And then you blink and it's gone. And then you look closely and it's there again, but only just. You then hear a bit of a commotion from nearby in a different pocket in the wall, where Rain, with your frantic shuffling, noticing Alora digging into the wall, you find something as well. A glimmer of some kind of metal, steel, very shallowly embedded in the wall here. It is a longsword, which those of you looking can see Rain kind of like sticking a hand into the muck and then just like yanking and yanking and yanking, and then suddenly like stumbling backwards into the muck. And
what need am I of this? None.
Rain, they just pulled the sword from the wall.
in fact, as Rain is pulling, like getting ready to throw it, as soon as you pull it out, Rain, it begins to glow with a silvery light. Your head torch is kind of gold and sort of muting it, but it is like shedding like this bright silver light every which way. And as you throw it, it holds on to that light for just a little bit and is arcing through the air, this kind of gleaming silver beacon, as it thuds into the muck nearby and then goes dark again.
Oh, mayhaps I was a bit quick to throw my sword away. And I run after it.
Ooh.
Okay. At this point, the result of a natural 20 is that it's basically a feeding frenzy on the walls of this layer. Like, it becomes clear. Like, when you look through before, it was like, this is weird. There's no piles of treasure or anything like it's not. There's nothing under the water. But it's pretty clear that the main concealment method here is just burial in mounds and mounds of this muck. So, Cane Band, this is going to take a while, and you are going to get absolutely filthy with this muck. Okay. Alora's got the kooky dagger. Rain, you found that long sword. Between the lot of you, you will also find...
Is it not grand that we are here this time when they are digging and we carry shovels with us?
I forgot about that.
There's got to be some easier way to do this, everybody.
Use your hands. It's the only way.
Oh, it's just like we had to dig that hole.
Oh, God. It was like...
I just keep casting prestidigitation over my face every like.
Finn's just
every
looking
so
fresh as a
often.
daisy
Yeah.
the whole time. Okay, you will find Cane Ban. I will paste this in the chat, but you can make note if you like. You will find a potion of clairvoyance, a potion of fire giant strength, 2 potions of superior healing, that dagger, and that sword.
Keep the potions away from me. I am in a mood to drink them.
You will also, in the
no.
process, in bits and bobs, secreted in various different stashes, some larger than the others,
Oh, found some more.
you will find a grand total of
Here's another one.
5,000 gold pieces.
Like in gems and stuff. Is it all
So-
gold or is it?
So, 4,000 of that
Whoa.
is in gold pieces.
Yeah.
There are then 500 gold pieces worth of diamonds, 250 worth of emeralds, and 250 worth of sapphires.
Can we? Is this enough? Could we?
Oh, you think we could?
The showboat is within our grasp.
Man.
God!
Should we just put it all in the bag for now, and then like just so nobody has to hold it all?
I think it best for now, yes.
I run over to Finn and I pick her up and spin her around the top of my head.
Which is a bit like going down for Finn. Like he dropped to waist height.
Luckily, we went to acrobatic school together. It's
Yeah,
very
I'm
easy
used
for us.
to Finn is used to this particular move. We've done it a few times before.
Sure, in your paired aerial class. I'm gonna make sure we've got this in the communal chat. Okay. Now I'm just gonna double check something to make sure I'm correct. Okay. Something you don't need to spend time with this blade to learn, Rain, while everyone's looking around. This blade actually has a very alarming smell to it at first when you go pick it back up again. And as soon as you pick it back up again, it begins to glow. That silvery light. Not as intense as the kind of golden beam coming from your head torch, but diffuse and all around. More comfortable on the eyes. The smell, it's hard to place. It's been a while since you've smelled it. It smells just like your manacles. The blade is clearly silvered. And in the pommel of the grip, actually, there is a silvery white stone that is perfectly smooth on the one side. And then on the other, a dark black stone that is likewise perfectly smooth. So kind of silvery white on one side, dark black on the other.
Wow, Brock. If you do lose control, I know how to kill you.
With the silver dagger.
Rain,
I have a silver sword now. I have a silver dagger and a silver sword.
Double whammies. But it's good to have a backup plan if you should need to slay me. I feel in safe hands.
If I need to slay thee and you put up a good fight, then I may also lose control. And then one of the others must have to stab me.
This is true. So maybe someone else should have one of the silver weapons. You should have one, and someone else should have one. We should spread the silver around to maximize our chances of slaying one of us should the need arise.
Finn or Alora, who wants the silver dagger?
I already have one, my friends. We made two. Obviously, we have two.
Then I shall give it to you, Finn.
Oh. Thank thee, Rain. Silver dagger.
I swear to slay us if the need arises.
We do. But not a moment
the prerequisite of the magical cane band. Be willing to
I am
kill each other.
removing a silver dagger from my bag.
Needs must be dire indeed before we come to those circumstances, my friends.
Yeah.
Rain, I think you should be able to access this through D&D Beyond, but you can add a moon-touched longsword.
That's cool.
Wait to pull up in a harbor and they come all and feast thy eyes on the magical cane band's latest show starting in 10 minutes. And everyone said, what? The boat just pulled in, there's a show? How can this be? Oh, the talk of the town shall we be?
All right. So this is the result of some pretty extensive excavation inside this very acrid-smelling lair. Filthy work, tiring work, to say the least. Web Ashton himself is also just covered in muck from like furrowing his big spider legs into the earth and getting them stuck and having to like yank them out again. And it's just scrabbling at the walls wholesale, just raking down muck.
I pick up a big ball of mud and I like pack it and then I throw it directly at the back of Budge's head.
Mud fight.
And then I pick up another one and throw it directly at Broccoli.
Oh, that one had a diamond in it. Ow. It really is nature's hardest substance, isn't it?
So Alora spent the last 85 years searching for treasure, so she doesn't even know, like, she hasn't even paid any attention to how dirty she is. She's just going through. She's in her element.
For sure.
Does anybody want to hold on to these potions? We got the one with the one that looks like it would make you strong.
Oh, I do.
The toenail in it. Right.
Oh, I'll hold on to that one. I
chuck it
will
to
not
her.
drink it.
No, Rain told us to keep the potions away from it.
That's right. I like catch it in the middle.
You sleight of hand yourself.
You can have it when you need it.
Put them all in the bag, Budge, and mayhap we can find a way to replicate them at a later date.
Yeah.
You sure?
Add some to today's tea.
Would it not be useful for one of us to be holding on to one of these healing potions? For then, nobody has to feed it to you, and you can feed it to yourself if you're in trouble.
Finn or Alora should carry the healing potions, for they usually stand back from fights. Not Brock and Rain. They fight from the back. That is where they are best positioned.
Indeed, we do, Rain.
Yeah. Bye. Oh no. I misjudged the mood. That's all good.
Well, Alora, mayhap we each keep one upon our person so we might administer them should the need arise.
This suits me, my friend.
Pass them to you. Potions of superior healing.
What does the clairvoyant one do? What's this one do? What's that one do there?
The one with the eye in it.
Yeah,
looking at it, it has a large eyeball with a totally silver iris when you look at it. And no matter how much you shake up that potion budge, the eye jumbles around and then faces forward right at you.
You have to ask it a question before you shake it. That's how it works. You ask.
Do I have to eat the eyeball when I drink it?
Stares back at you.
That's a yes.
So, Caneban, you have got your loot. You have torn apart the insides of this muddy lair. What would you like to do now?
Friends, I think this would not a suitable venue be. The smell in here would take years to ventilate, and the wet passage in is, I would say, probably a hindrance to some of our audience. It's not accessible. It's not an accessible venue.
No.
And I think we need to focus on being as accessible as we can when we're choosing a home base. So I feel all of our energies must now turn to purchasing a boat. The show boat.
I do agree. And the sooner we can purchase a boat, the less likely we are to be robbed.
Aye. For we do not hang on to money long. I had 600 gold pieces for a day.
Yeah. So we're agreed. We go and fight one more time quickly at the moldy gutter, and then we look for a boat. Just a little quick fight, and then boat shopping. All in favor.
How much is the boat?
It varies, my friend, depending on the boat. They come in all shapes and sizes and levels of skill.
A boat big enough for all us?
So you can have a boat big enough for all of us that is quite cheap, for it is cumbersome, or you could have a sleek, efficient boat, which would be much more expensive. I can wax lyrical about boats for a very long time, so I'm not going to do that.
We probably need cumbersome to allow a certain performance area.
Store props.
Props, costumes.
Set.
They are looking to send friends for a barge, not a boat.
There's some sort of in-betweensy.
We cannot call it the show barge.
And I would suggest something akin to a schooner. It is not the biggest boat around, but near the smallest. There are space below for storage and cabins and things.
Yes.
Sail aloft for those of us interested in propelling the boat forward, but plenty of deck space on which one might do considerable performances.
A schooner it shall be.
Yes.
I can draw I'll minor illusion a little schooner in front of my hand so that people can what it looks like.
This is an interesting display piece. Could you show me another?
Yes.
I'll swipe and
What would the
go with a
what
head. And then swipe, there's a brig. Swipe,
Oh,
there's a
one with colored sails.
Up, back.
Yeah.
I'm just scrolling through all the boats I've ever seen, which is there's a lot of them.
This is good.
Good thing you've got the Alora TV channel.
Cane Band.
It's rain.
I do want to kill Roger, but perhaps we should leave. Did he give you something that he is perhaps tracking us with? Or
Defending stone.
I have a sending stone, yes.
Where do we have that now?
It's in my pocket, right?
Let us bury it in this lair.
What? Is he tracking us through it or just communicating to us through it?
I do not know, but I never want to see his face again.
Yeah. You know, all the conspiracies I hear in the taverns are that sending stones the government uses to track our positions. That's why they give you sending stones.
So I don't go to temples.
Yeah, all the
They might
taverns
cure
talk
your
about.
ills, but they're tracking you.
They're tracking you. Those sending stones, you think they're saving you time, but man, they're keeping tabs on you.
They can also be magnetic.
Yeah.
I have an alternative proposition for thee, Rain.
Hi.
I seek, and I'm looking about kind of a bit disappointed in Hergor's lair, I seek a small amount of lead. And I don't see any here, which is annoying me. I seek a small amount of lead with which I may make a box to house the Azkalite. If I put the sending stone in that box with the Azkalite, it will be rendered useless to Roger until we deem it necessary. He can track us not through the lead.
You and your trinkets, you do not let go of them. All right, you hoarder, you can keep it.
We don't need to worry about Roger, Rain. We all know that at some point Roger will track us down. We'll try to convince him to join the Cane Band. He won't accept and we'll kill him. This is how these things go.
Tis the cycle of things.
Would be a hat trick.
It's folly to fight against it.
As long as Roger does not end up with parts of Hergor, I am fine with that solution.
On this we are agreed, my friend.
Yeah.
Good. But
So what are we going to do with the bits of this? What are we doing with the bits of the dragon if not giving it to Roger? Who are we selling this dragon to?
Fencing them to Budge's contact.
Oh, Budge's got it. That's right.
Or-
of course. Sneaky.
Yeah, it might end up to Roger. I was actually more thinking that we could take most of it to the Haruatru clan. And I have heard tell before of dragon scales being fashioned into armor. And dragon scale armor may look. Are any of the Cane Band wearing scale mail at the moment?
I don't
I know
think
that
so. It's
Rain
mostly
and-
leathers and a breastplate for Rain
Mostly
and
leathers.
chainmail for Broccoli, I think.
Yeah. And so I know that there are many crafters in the clan Haruatru that are much more skilled than I.
That's our
And so
next stop,
perhaps-
isn't it?
I would be most
Right.
keen to assist in the crafting of such a fine piece.
Scale mail.
Perhaps. And we also have the horns and teeth and claws and perhaps a dagger or something, or I know not.
To be honest, Rain, if we find her again, I think mayhap our dragon pieces that are of no use to the Haruatrus would be most prized by Mother Sawyer.
Oh, yes, of course.
We owe her a great debt. Literally,
Did we give her some dragon scales? I seem to recall that she did wish something of the sort from us.
She I don't think you gave them to her. You met her. It was the first time you met her, I think, when this conversation happened, and she asked you for 3 things. One of which was the scales of a black dragon.
I feel like one of them is the liver of a human, though.
Yep, it was a very specific wording. That one.
Noble woman.
The liver of a lady of power,
Hmm.
and I believe it was the third one, a stone of the moon.
Ooh.
Moonstone. I'm not giving her one. I'm not giving that up.
I feel as though that Mother Sawyer will not reject a dragon's heart.
No.
Well, she made her house run away at the wrong time, didn't she? She'll be feeling quite foolish.
So, should we pack up now and take our loot and our dragon bits and see if we can make it? How far a journey is it to your home, Budge?
Aye, well, 'tis the home that moves, but to the Moonwood. What did we say? It was several days. It's like,
Yeah, from where you were leaving before, it was going to be like 2 days if you made good time. You've kind of moved adjacently, so it'll
Exact.
still be 2.5. Yeah, 2.5 days from where you are.
couple of days
Aye.
for making good time.
Do we still want to do that, or do we want to go and buy a boat?
Could we get to
I
your
want to
place?
do it.
Could we get to your home quicker by boat if we bought a boat?
We'd have to buy a boat, and then also we'd probably have to leave a boat somewhere while we head up into the mountains.
Oh, right. So
Right.
it's not. Okay, it's in the mountains. All right, that's yeah. No, that's
It's in the foothills and the
Ooh.
mountains. Or actually, do I know exactly where the Moonwood would be situated? Is it how alpine is it?
It's the borderland between like true mountain scrubland and dense forest. So like yeah, it's a bit of a mixture of those two climbs, kind of nestled right in it.
It's not adjacent to the lake. There's a bit of
No,
a white base.
no, it's not adjacent to the lake. It's closer to the Dawn Guard.
Why don't we get the boat after?
We might be able to get a better boat after we've offloaded some dragon bits for more money.
And we were going to have a fight club and a show.
Right.
At the least a show.
And a fight club.
Feel like
show
this
about a
club
fight
is
club.
very exclusive and may contain simply thyself and Fudge.
Hi, Alora. I would not fight thee.
Nor I thee, Rain.
I would not wish to fight any of you that would not wish it.
And then you hear suddenly from the side of you a new voice saying, "Nor would I wish to fight any of thee."
What?
But who dat?
I looked for who said it.
Yeah, me too.
Yep, you're looking around. There's not apparently anybody sitting here with you.
I cast see invisibility.
Okay. Alora, how does Alora cast the invisibility? You haven't done this one yet, I don't think.
So it's another weird set of glasses. Not as complicated as our identify ones, but more like shades.
Okay. When you do this with your eyes and sort of scan around really quickly, almost right away, you spy. I'm assuming you're still in the lair at this point. Yes.
We were kind of we're sort of wandering.
You're coming near the exit, right? So, sort of silhouetted in front of you in the tunnel, standing apparently, and leaning up against one of the muddy walls, there is a figure of what must be a very tall creature, leaning against the wall there. With, you can see this kind of like translucent form of them there, a furry person, like a humanoid figure that is covered in brown fur that is mottled, and then the head fur is like gray with shocks of white in it. There is a bulbous nose and kind of flopping ears, and quite large, proportionate to the face, eyes, sort of staring right at you. And noticing you stare right into his eyes, you see him go,
I'll walk right up to him and say, "Friend, I know as well thou reliest on thy invisibility, but I see thee, and I let thee know that thou art safe here. Thou dost wish to reveal thyself to my friends." And I'm looking right in his eyes.
The rest of you can see Alora sort of like starting to swim, sort of like sitting right there at the edge and pointing to this space of emptiness, and then materializing in that air. You all now see this creature, this furry humanoid with a bulbous nose and fur, staring out at Alora and then looking out at all of you. And he says, "Well, I would certainly not wish to fight any of thee. I am happy to hear you call me a friend. For if I were to be called thine enemy, I should call myself a fool, and all of ye terrors, for I am terrified to have seen what you might have done."
I thank thee for revealing thy corporeal form. My name is Alora, and thou art well met.
You do meet well.
What brings thee here, furry friend?
Who art thou, friend?
Oh, my name be Yutkus von Butkus at thy service, although those who are friends to me, which I do think that you do claim to be, do call me Swamp Dog.
Swamp Dog. Well met. Shall we into the daylight? It's most damp here.
Oh, very well. It's a nice daylight. I do like it. And he sort of turns immediately and starts tromping through the mud, and then eventually is not like stepping anymore, but he seems to be still keeping the same motion, and it's just kind of going across the surface of the water as though he's walking, but his feet can't be touching the ground.
Yeah. We'll get out of the lair back onto the dry ground.
Swamp Dog.
Aye.
How old are thee?
What did you say?
How old are thee?
Why, I suppose that is something of a difficult question to answer.
No.
And I suppose that the appropriate answer is that I am as old as I am. Which is something longer than a dog's age, and I do think me somewhat shorter than the moon's age. And that doth cover a multitude of ages. And I am not for certes which of these ages be mine.
Swamp Dog, this is Rain.
It is most certainly not.
My friend, his name is Rain.
Ah, now thou dost talk sensibly. Well met, my friend who is Rain, or so I hope you are.
Hi, Swamp Dog. What are thou doing? What do you wish? Can we help?
Can I call thee Swamp Diggity? Swamp
I do like this.
Diggity. Swamp Diggity.
You may do this if you complete my name and say Swamp Diggity Dog.
Agreed. Compromise well met, Swamp Diggity Dog.
I do like it.
Yeah, me too. Rolls off the tongue.
And what is your name, my diggity friend?
Broccoli Dawnguard.
I shall call ye Brock Liggity Dongard.
And I accept thy offering.
Very good and well. Now, I must ask you, what are all of you doing in my home?
This is thy home.
Why, most certainly, I do live in it.
The swamp in general.
Why, it is in my name.
We simply traverse through it, my friend, from one adventure to the next.
Oh, very well. This doth seem like a fantastic way to live.
Did you know the dragon?
Oh, I do. And did. And always do. Which dragon?
Hagrid?
Yeah,
Alora?
I did mishear thee. Didst thou say Hergor? I did think surely thou didst mean Eligor.
mayhap we do. He is a black dragon of most magnificence.
Oh, magnificence indeed, but we do not. Eligor is not a he, but a she. A great she. Oh,
How many dragons would thou say reside here in this lair or swamp?
oh. Well, none. That I do know. Have you seen one?
Not
Indeed we
recently,
have.
Swamp Diggity Dog.
Last time we were here, we were greeted by a black dragon who named himself Hergor.
Hmm.
You know him not?
I not know him.
Budge,
I do hope he is a pleasant sort.
Budge is trying to get the sus of this guy. Budge is feeling very threatened as his role in the group as the tall, folksy swamp person who emerged from secret hiding to greet the party. Can Budge do an insight check to
Sure.
like suss this dude's intentions?
Mm-hmm.
Because this feels weird. And just to see if he can get the intent of this.
Alora's also using a conversation with him to try and get a feed on his personality.
Sure. You can make an insight check as well.
Don't need to, but just
Ooh, that's a journey.
what's going on.
Pretty good.
No, less.
Okay. Budge, with your 20, you get that Swamp Dog, the biggest vibe coming off of him to you is confusion. Like, he's speaking very confidently, but he's got the air of somebody who is like talking without quite knowing how the sentence is going to end. and like trying to figure. He seems like he's trying to figure out the situation as well. It's like you're meeting on that energy of trying to figure out what's happening. But he's being very like, you know, yeah. He doesn't seem to be hiding something. Just seems confused. So, I do take it you have been on excellent adventures and thus have stories.
Indeed, we are storytellers by trade, my friend.
Yes, so.
If thou hast a moment, we can do for thee a show.
Oh, Bronze Eye, I would love to see it.
Magical cane band, activate!
What is that? Is that a spell? I see not the effect.
Just you wait, my friend. His magic unknown to thee and most excellent.
We need a performance space. We need like a 5x4 performance space. Some sort of seating.
Mayhaps outside.
Do you live alone? Do you have friends you wish to invite to this performance?
Oh, well, most of my friends. And then you see, Swamp Dog is immediately training his focus on something off in the distance, and then looks up. And begins this rapid undulating sequence of whistles. It resolves in a long, low, sustained one. And then you hear from the trees all around. And then one after the other, dozens of different birds come flitting around and landing on the ground all around you, leaving a bit of a berth for the rest of you. But some of them rest on Swamp Dog's shoulders and next to him, and he sort of puts out one arm, and a whole line of them get there. And he starts talking to them in this sort of kind of chittering tongue, whistles and clicks.
Budge can speak Sylvan. Is he talking in Sylvan?
That is what he is doing. So Budge, you can hear him saying, "Hey now! Hey now! What? Wing! Eastern dogs! Tree hog, where are you at? Tree hog!" And then each of them is responding in kind, and you can hear whooshes kind of through the low-by trees as a number of these birds come and land. And Budge, it would twig for you that they are birds, but they are speaking Sylvan. When they respond, this isn't like normal kind of your communication with Peeves, right? Where you sort of yeah.
Budge can't hear like birds. He doesn't understand birds normally,
No,
right?
no. Budge doesn't speak common, right? Like that's not. Or sorry, Budge. Peeves
birds.
doesn't speak
Yeah,
common.
Peeves, yeah.
Yeah. So like, yeah, you recognize this is what's happening, and they're speaking back.
I'll just lean to him and I'll say, "This guy has lost his mind."
The birds then Budge as they're landing on his arms and shoulders and stuff. This cacophony of their voices comes in, and one of them says, "What hast thou called us down here for, Swamp Dog? Swamp Dog, Swamp Dog, what is thou art saying? Oh, I was having worms." And then there are like just this like an uproar of all of them trying to talk over each other and to Swamp Dog. And Swamp Dog's just kind of like, "Oh, we're at roundworms. Nay, he said to the east, he did." And then no, I did tell the East Wing that Tree Hog was not to have the arrow. I apologize. I am being frightfully rude, he says in common to the rest of you. But I did summon for thee an audience. I did not wish for them to miss.
Friends, considering the audience that is here assembled, should we not do the tale of the spoopening that involved The very birds that our audience could relate to. Our audience is the hero of the tale.
I would turn to Broccoli and whisper so the guy can't see me. Broccoli, I can't do the smoke. I can't do the smoke anymore.
We need not magic. We can theatrically, even if we were to sing of the smoke, that is a show of sorts.
All right, cool.
Audience, we are the magical.
Magical.
And I flip off to the side.
Already clapping.
A castle stands.
Oh,
Friends.
the castle hath feet. Thou hast heard, 'tis wondrous. Oh, it is wondrous.
Night falls, and all within the castle wait, for there is a spoopening afoot.
Woo!
Alora, thunder and lightning, Alora, thunder and lightning.
I can do a puff of wind in their faces.
Burr puffs back, and feathers rumple. A couple of the birds jump and flap and then land again.
I
Two
will.
guards upon the battlement.
Bunch, you're a guard with me. Oh, look, nothing happening tonight.
But they were wrong.
Behold,
nothing
what is
happening.
that? What is this upon the sky? What is the face of terror?
Oh,
Behold, look upon the face of terror all and see what the gods have seen.
what have the guards seen? I must know.
A face in the sky, the face of a dead man,
Oh,
writ large upon the clouds, as if the devil himself had brought this face before them.
Then, quick, let us make our faces with our bodies.
Yes, theatrically.
I think we get the coat out, and so it's just Rain's face, like Rain's on my shoulders with the coat, but it's just her head poking out. And we kind of make it dark around that.
Yeah, I'm doing
But
all the
just
damage
having-
here I can.
But just having prolific stage fright, as he did not expect to act, and just the sudden forcing of this has put him in a position he's never been in his life, and he would just go pale and just stare and just freeze as the rest of it happens around him.
why the guard doth look terrified. He's speaking in Sylvan to the birds, and the birds like,
I very much afraid. Aye, indeed. He doth seem to be very well and truly scared. 'Tis a fine piece of acting.
Behold, the head of the dead. Run while you can.
run, fly not, birds. 'Tis a jape. 'Tis in sport, though it is good. Come back.
Yes. But the guards stood their ground, all in the castle waited, transfixed by the floating head of a murdered man. But one final act of fear was to befall them, for out of the mouth of this fallen foe, a flock of birds did fly.
And I think at that point, I like pop Rain off the shoulders, like sweep the coat out, and a shower of sparks just comes from where the coat was, and the sound of like, Alora, can you do the sound of birds?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I can minor illusion Banks's face with a murder of crows busting through its mouth.
Yeah, so that appears where Rain like jumps out of the, like through the coat.
Alora, as you make the crows appear suddenly in space, even still, all of the birds that are on Swamp Dog's person and around him burst into flight in panic, screaming each direction, circling, doing these kind of aggressive swarm patterns. And Swamp Dog's like, the crows! 'Tis the crows! Hide thyselves, they have returned!
I immediately dismiss it. Nay, friends, it is but an illusion.
For then all was still. The night, those in the castle, and those whose heart had pulsed with fear, let the silence drive them ever closer to the edge of terror. We let the silence sit. Let it sit. Don't panic. Don't panic, magical caveman. Let it sit longer than it feels comfortable. There's power in pause. There's power in pause.
I do feel the power.
Not yet, Ken. Not yet. Thank you, one and all.
Rapturous applause sound effect.
We have been the magical.
Magical.
Oh, Budge.
Cane
Band.
Cane band, cane band, cane band. You shall have to pardon my friends. They are very afeard of crows. I should tell thee that were amazing.
Oh,
I am strucken by amazement. Thou could blow me down and rug from under me and muck me up.
Swamp Diggity
Why, I
Dawg.
have never seen such.
If that was to see 5 stars in the sky, Swamp Diggity Dog, and was to apportion at maximum 5 of those stars to our performance here this night, how many of those stars do they think this performance was worth?
Oh. Why, what a thing.
Be honest, Swamp Diggity Dog.
Stars in the sky. 'Tis not oft I do see such. And there be 5.
Ah. 5 being the best and none being the worst. For what thou hast seen here this day.
Why? Good Brockliggity. If 5 be best, why then 5 is what thou hast on this test. 5 stars.
Oh, well done, Magical Cane Band. Another 5-star performance here this day.
While Broccoli's talking to Swamp Dog, Alora will just walk. She'll barely stop past. She's walking past Budge, but as she goes past him, she'll be like, "Okay, Budge, it's over." But she doesn't want
It's
to
still
make a big
going
deal.
in my heart.
Swamp Dog kind of stands up from where he was sitting and which Budge you can understand. He means like, tis well, you may return. 'Twas but a jape, like a dream. Thou knowest dreams. And he walks up to all of you, and he says, "Oh, ye have done me a good turn this day. Excellent diversion, if ever I did say. And I shall tell thee what, when I do see more of my friends, or any who do pass through, I shall say, if you do wish to hear a story true, why, 'tis the magical cane band that is for you."
Ah, word of mouth, friends. Word of mouth. It's key.
Aye, indeed. And I shall spread my mouth for as much word as I can. And in the middle of that word, Swamp Dog is walking and disappears.
You're right.
Sound of
he
his
like,
voice is
he
gone.
like vanishes. He like
Yeah, he is gone.
he
Here
has
I
turned
was
invisible.
about to offer him some of my leftover swamp birthday cake.
Laura, is he invisible again?
It goes for an hour, so I would still be able to see him if he's there. Nope.
Yeah, he is gone.
Sorry, Budge, he has departed this place.
Oh.
wow.
I think those birds were speaking Sylvan,
Mm-hmm.
and I think, as to did he,
Yes.
I think that he was in the other forest.
I seem a member of the Fae mayhap we have met today.
Or maybe he does not know where.
Maybe he died 6 years ago. He haunts
Tis
this
good.
spot to this very day.
Yeah.
All I know is now I must pen a tune for Swamp Dog.
Swamp Diggity Dog.
Ode to Swamp Diggity Dog.
Right itself. Oh, we have here managed to squeeze in a performance, good friends. It has felt like a long time. And Budge, thy turn as the scared guard was powerful. Thy performance was captivating.
So
Compelling.
honest, such honesty.
You look petrified. So well done.
A natural, Budge. At least 4.5 of those stars were for thee alone and thy petrified visage.
Thank thee. Twere good fun.
Thou hast hid thy talent under a bushel all this time. Thou art a natural, Budge.
I can't wait for the next performance.
And on that note, it is 10:30,
Yeah.
and I can't wait for the next performance in 2 weeks' time when the Magical Cane Band returns for our next sessions, the 19th of Snowbreak, which has dawned most productively. You are newly looted and outfitted with a number of interesting toys and rich. You got some coin, and you are at a transition point to decide your next move, with the path before you to the Moonwood lying ahead. We'll find out what the Cane Band gets up to next time in 2 weeks. You can tune in next week, this same time, 7:30 Melbourne time, to catch up with the Headless Marys, who are on some level 8 adventures of their own, very, very far away from this spot in Eston.
Oh, we'll catch him.
You can see what they're getting up to at that time. In the meantime, catch up with us on all social media. You can follow us at Sooth Players as well as at Bardic Inspiration on Twitter and TikTok. And you can go to soothplayers.com for the info page on this and our other shows when we are able to do them in person again in Melbourne at some point soon. Knocks on wood, laughs in lockdown 6 and ease. So let's thank a few folks. First, Matt Day, the creator of Rollcast, which we're using to do these slick dice rolls and communicate with each other and connect to the stream. Also to Eric Matias, supplier of the music that those of you on the stream can hear in the background. You can check out his work on soundimage.org. Thank you to those of you who have watched, both now and in future. And thank you to you, the players, for literally mucking in this go round and for always being so fun. We'll close out, as we always do, by saying thanks, and more thanks. See you next time.